A single phone call can change everything. On a cold morning in New York, 2025, October 10th, the city was in its usual state of controlled chaos. Yellow cabs streamed down avenues, their horns a familiar part of the urban orchestra. People, bundled in coats, moved purposefully along the sidewalks. In the heart of this metropolis, a skyscraper of glass and steel reached for the sky, its surface reflecting the crisp autumn light. The man who made the call was not an executive. He was a facilities worker, a man in his late 50s, calloused hands, a face etched with a long career, boiler rooms, service corridors. His name was Leo. That morning he moved methodically, senses attuned to the building's rhythm. But there was a new scent, faint, sharp, unnaturally sweet. At the sub-basement stairwell, he leaned to a service panel and heard a high-pitched hiss, the sound of pressure escaping, a flicker near a junction box. Gas, plus a spark, could mean fire, or worse. He did not hesitate. Maria, the operator, answered, calm, professional.
This is Leo, B2 near stairwell C. Strong gas smell, hissing behind the utility panel, possible spark from the electrical box nearby. The signal had been sent.
The skyscraper was a marvel of modern design, a gleaming testament to ambition, but like many structures in old cities, it was built on top of a secret. Beneath the concrete lay a tangled network of old infrastructure, gas, water, and steam lines, some predating the tower by decades. Replacing this subterranean web is a monumental task. So often the new is simply built over the old. Much of this network was cast iron, which becomes dangerously brittle with age. Decades of vibrations from subways and traffic create microstresses. Meanwhile, corrosive soil and stray electrical currents silently eat away at the metal. With inspections being years apart, these hidden weaknesses can grow unchecked. The building's foundation sat directly over one such artery, an old gas main. The construction itself likely added new stresses to the aging pipe, creating a silent, concentrated vulnerability. Over years, a stress fracture, initially no wider than a hair, slowly widened. With each passing train and temperature shift, the microscopic failure grew into a critical breach. Gas began to seep out, migrating through porous soil and following man-made channels like utility conduits, making its way directly into the sub-basement. It pooled invisibly and without odor, filling the voids of the sub-basement. A hidden reservoir of fuel was accumulating beneath a tower that looked to the world above like a pillar of stability. The danger was immense. A gas-fueled fire could heat and weaken foundational steel, causing localized failure. Worse, an explosion could send a catastrophic pressure wave up through the building, blowing out windows and compromising the entire structure. All it needed was a single ignition source. In a space filled with machinery, any tiny spark, from a thermostat, a pump motor, even static electricity, could ignite the gas-saturated environment. The hiss Leo heard was gas forcing its way through the final barrier. The flaw, hidden for years, was now exposed. The building's fate no longer rested on steel or concrete, but on human action. And that response was already in motion. The moment Maria heard the words gas and spark, her training took over. In building operations, that combination is the prelude to disaster. Her mind processed the flammability of gas in a confined space and the countless potential ignition sources. There was no time for hesitation. This quiet room of screens and readouts was the building's nerve center. It wasn't just a passive monitoring station, it was an active command post with control over everything from ventilation to access control. On the digital schematic, she pinpointed Leo's location, immediately clocking its proximity to the main electrical room and the primary HVAC plant. A spark from one, or circulation by the other, could escalate the situation exponentially. Her instructions to Leo were precise, honed by countless drills. Move away from the area, go to B1, keep everyone clear of stairwell C, do not use elevators, do not touch switches. Each command had a purpose: create distance, establish a safe zone, and eliminate new ignition sources. Even flipping a light switch could be fatal. Simultaneously, she initiated a multi-channel alert to building security, engineering, and directly to the city's 911 dispatch. It contained the precise address, sub-level location, and the critical keywords: active gas leak and possible ignition source. To manage the building's occupants, she activated the internal protocol: calm, coded announcements directed an orderly, phased evacuation because preventing panic is as crucial as containing the leak. Maria was now the central hub, managing the flow of information. She was the link between the man on the ground, incoming first responders, and the building's own teams, ensuring everyone operated from the same intelligence. At 9:14 a.m., just 2 minutes after Leo's call, the response was in full motion. Building security was setting up a perimeter as the gas utility was dispatched to shut off the main. The chain was holding, a seamless coordination of effort, all because one man trusted his senses and one woman knew exactly what to do. This is the chain of command in action. It's a system built not just on technology, but on human trust and rigorous training. It is the invisible network that underpins the safety of our vertical cities, the backbone of urban resilience. Outside, the city's rhythms were abruptly interrupted. The wail of a siren cut through traffic, a red FDNY engine arrived, movements disciplined, economical speed born of long training. First, secure the perimeter, create a wide buffer, divert pedestrians. Inside, security moved calmly, steering people to side exits, avoiding chaos. Few understood the gravity unfolding beneath their feet. The gas company crew arrived with wrenches, gauges, and a handheld detector. Stairwell C B2, the engineer said. Led by a veteran named Frank, they moved down, the smell of gas strengthening. The detector began to chirp, faster, higher, confirming their fears. On B2, the chirp became a continuous squeal. They donned respirators. The hissing was clear now, a venomous whisper in the silence. Boots on the ground, standing at ground zero. There was no panic, only purpose, the kind you earn from experience. The high-pitched squeal from their detectors meant the gas concentration was in the explosive range. In this saturated atmosphere, any spark, from a tool or static discharge, could be the last. Training dictates a clear protocol. Isolate the source, shut off the supply and ventilate. Every action must be deliberate, precise, and non-sparking. Through the haze, their flashlights found it. A main shutoff valve in a standard red metal box. This was the critical choke point controlling gas flow for the entire section. We move to the shutoff now. Their steps were deliberate. As they advanced, the sound of the leak grew from a hiss to a roar, a constant reminder of the danger. The alarm on their belts continued its relentless scream. They reached the valve box, the roar of the leak now deafening. Inside was a heavy old cast iron wheel. Caked in grime and showing deep corrosion, it was clear this valve hadn't been operated in years. A common problem in aging infrastructure. The first attempt to turn it by hand confirmed their fears. It stuck. The wheel wouldn't budge, completely seized by time and disuse. They retrieved a long-handled valve wrench, a cheater bar. It was designed for this exact scenario, providing the mechanical advantage needed to break a frozen valve free. 1, 2, 3. In unison, they threw their combined weight into the steel bar. For a heart-stopping second, nothing. Then, a deep, groaning creak echoed in the corridor, the sound of rust yielding to force. The wheel had broken free. It was still a fight, but it was moving. They worked together, heaving on the bar to complete a quarter turn, then a half, then a full rotation until it was fully closed. The effect was immediate. The roar of escaping gas faded to silence. The fuel supply was cut. On their detectors, the frantic squeal subsided to an intermittent chirp. They had stopped the flow, winning the first battle, but the danger was not over. The corridor was still filled with a heavy, stagnant cloud of flammable gas. Ventilation was now paramount. Main valve closed. Leak stopped. Begin ventilation of B2 immediately. Security opened access and loading dock doors, creating a clear airflow path. Engineers hit emergency exhaust. Massive rooftop fans pulled contaminated air above the roofline. Firefighters set portable blowers to push fresh air in, positive pressure toward exhaust vents. On B2, a cool draft signaled change. The sharp smell began to fade. They swept low-lying spots where gas pools, corners, closets, crawl spaces, the chirps growing fewer. At 9:35 a.m., they radioed the all clear. Gas levels safe and non-explosive. The immediate threat had passed. At last the tower, and everyone inside, could breathe a quiet sigh of relief. At 9:46, 34 minutes after Leo's call, B2 was clear. All readings normal. The building was secure. The chain of command had held. The system worked as designed. Outside, the crisis was officially over. By 10 a.m., near-perfect normalcy. Most occupants never knew. Good call, Leo. You did the right thing. No medals, just quiet acknowledgement. He wasn't a hero, just a worker paying attention, fluent in the building's language. Crews unearthed the cracked joint and replaced it. Management issued a brief thanks. It never made the news. It became a story told in break rooms and training sessions, a disaster that never was. Safety experts call this a near miss, a sequence that, left unchecked, would likely lead to catastrophe. Near misses are free lessons, revealing hidden weaknesses without tragic cost. Safety is not a single heroic act, but a series of interconnected actions in a culture of vigilance. Lesson 1. The power of the individual. The system only works if someone pulls the first thread. Lesson 2. A clear practice chain of command. Information flowing seamlessly across teams. Finally, the job isn't over at shutoff. Ventilation, verification, and remediation truly solve the problem. That morning, a catastrophe was stopped not by one phone call, but by everything that made that call matter.